disagreeable way. No, 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 no. So I guess I'll have to say to you, we're on our way. Yeah. Kicking off the dust from off our heels. I say he who knows is he who feels. Roots are calling from within roots. Oh yeah. Ooh, yeah. Reality of our true selves is what your spirit said to me. Break the spell to be now free. Whoa, roots and realize your spiritual majesty. Yeah, open up your eyes so we can now see. Whoa, roots, reality of our true self. There can be no other savior than yourself. Oh, roots.
Yes, yes, yes. Roots. Cosmic roots. Reality of one's true self. Yes, this is Brother Siayome here. Cosmical Mystic, a.k.a. Abon Krem on Bless Radio 1. For those of you just tuning in right now on this Tuesday, greetings to you all. Yes, you are on Bless Radio 1, Know Thyself. And if those of you who are tuning in via different modalities like the internet, you can tune in via www.blessradio.org, or you can tune in via the TuneIn app. You would have to download that, or you can also tune in live via YouTube. You type in Bless Radio 1 YouTube channel, Siayome, Brother Siayome Live, and you will link up with the new. You'll link up with it live, okay? Slightly distracted, get a lot of little messages coming in here. Well, so I trust you all, you know what I mean, doing okay. There's been a lot of intense energies, definitely big things, transformative, and also periods coming up to let go of old outworn structures, limited, question your field of perception and what do you perceive reality to be, with this new moon in Gemini that we just had a few days back. So, yeah. But you know what? I'm going to play our next tune here. Because, yes, this is what I'm feeling to do. So here's a dub plate, y'all, from King Tubby, the Dub Master. And enjoy. Oh yeah. Yes, man. Roots man dub that King Tubby there, sir. Master dub master. Right hand tight, but the dub plate is. So, yeah. Yeah, man. Where shall I begin, huh? Usually at the beginning. But yeah, everything seems to be running into everything else. Everything seems to be flowing into everything else. You're not even sure what the days of the blipping week is. Look, we're already 6 months into the year. And it's just like it just began last month, but we're already halfway through. So, obviously, vibration frequencies are speeding up, and we are experiencing time in a very different way, you know? So, and that being said, I suppose I'll pick up from the previous show, as I said what I would do, and continue from where I left off. So, for a little recap, last Tuesday I was talking about the Scorpio full moon and giving an astrological weather cosmic forecast to how this is playing out in our inner realms. Okay, our psychology, emotional, mental psychology, and basically what this was indicating as full moon in Scorpio was definitely dealing with emotional transformation, referring to security issues, emotional security, and what the soul no longer needs to carry. Okay, within it, as these old memories, these are they're coming up to be transformed and purged out. While we are going to go through a 7 to 8 year transit of Uranus through Taurus, which is going to be definitely a transformation of values. Okay, your value systems, what have they been based upon? How have you been conditioned? What's your beliefs? Your beliefs are supporting particular values in how you relate to yourself and how you perceive what you need to survive for your essential needs. And a lot of this is really coming up to be purged out, to be transformed, because they are unnatural values. They're no longer serving one. They're no longer providing one with the sense of security, sense of self-worth and value that one was conditioned to believe that these particular values that we hold on to we're supposed to do. People are having a change in the way they perceive themselves and what they're valuing. And a lot of what we value have come from our societal cultural conditioning and also passed on from, you can use the term, generational, ancestral. And this is how you pass on congenital thoughts, congenital beliefs, thoughts, feelings, which can produce the same state, condition, dis-ease, or whatever in individuals who come after this, still holding on to the same framework, the same structure in their consciousness. They will just keep riding and creating the same thing, perpetuating the same cycle. So we've come into a new cycle here when Uranus, that previously was in Aries for 8 years, when that moved out and entered into Taurus and now has established itself there, straight away you're now dealing with a new cycle. Okay? So this new moon is also about a new mental framework. The old mental framework, what you thought you understood, the knowledge you absorbed and you were living from or basing your perception of reality from, that's all coming up to be transformed. That's all coming up to be transformed. So what's happening here is a kind of continuation a continuation of this process that we're going through, where you're dealing with a complete transformation and transmutation of what has gone before. You know, the structures of in consciousness that was being built on from the past. Okay, all of that's getting dissolved. All of that is going through a deconstruction. So, yeah. And the thing is, when you're dealing with this plane, or when you're dealing with life in general, okay, you see, change is inevitable, but it's how people perceive change. And what it is that everything in the physical dimension, everything that you are perceiving with your five senses, everything on this plane of dimension, everything that, everything that people have been conditioned to hold on to, seek for permanence and security and so forth in the externalization of what represents the security, the sense of power, the material things that symbolize these traits, these attributes in ourselves that we think as long as we obtain that or obtain more material things, we are going to feel internally secure, emotionally confident, all this and this and that. You see all of that, you see all of that is creating resistance in oneself, because change is inevitable. Nothing in this plane, nothing here in this physical world, everything you look outside of yourself, even this physical body, remains the same. Change is inevitable. And without change, there'd be no growth. Without change, you would be held and stuck to a lower state of awareness, and there would be no opportunities to be able to transform yourself out of that change. Okay? Even the word corruption is just telling you that change, things disintegrate. In order to transform into something new, into a fresh new start. You see what I mean? I mean, look, your cells change everything in your body, nothing remains the same. So change should be embraced. I just got a message here. I agree. Change should also be loved. But you see, change isn't loved because change is a threat to many people based on where they're placing their sense of security into. And this becomes more of an issue the more material minded you are, the more you seek to just stay upon the surface or the superficial, and not look deeper beneath the surface, beneath the aesthetics, beneath the garment, So if you remain on the surface, you remain superficial, there's no depth to you. A seed, when it's planted into the soil, it has to be planted into good soil, fertile soil, and for those roots to be able to burrow deep into the soil. Because the deeper the roots, the higher the growth. The stronger the foundation, the firmer the construction. You know what I mean? And the higher you can build. So, yeah, change. Not everybody embraces change in a pleasant way. A lot of people have resistance to it. So they experience the effects of it unpleasantly. So anyway, we just come out of we just had a new moon. And wherever the moon is, it's relating to the emotional security aspect of oneself. The emotional self-image. All right. But what I'm going to correlate what I'm talking about this evening, what I'm going to correlate it into, is, as I said, I'm going to bounce on from the previous show I did last Tuesday. And I said I'm going to talk about Amour. I'm going to talk about the light of the soul, Amour. Many of you are familiar, if you speak French or Italian or have learned a little bit of, foreign languages, being raised in England. You would know that the word for love in those languages is Amour. Now, I did a show, one of my earlier show all last year. One of the first couple shows I did, I did a show on love. What is love, a verb or a noun? And to explore this word that is used so much, and it has so much diverse interpretations, or when I say diverse, there's diverse points of view in how people relate to love. When you talk about love, there are people who would, associate love with pain, associate love with vulnerability, associate love even with suffering. That's give a kind of, what's the term? Got to be clear, get a bit deeper. What do you mean by love? Because just in English, this word just gets kicked around, people can love a lottie stick. Some people could really be into doing some, hurtful things to others, and they may enjoy doing that and say they love, that type of stuff. So, I just want to bring this word into more of a, because break it out of the conditioning, because we've been conditioned to perceive love for what it isn't, and associate love for what it isn't, and what love actually is. Many folk would run, and keep running from it, because this love, Amour, this love is very different to the human conditioned manipulation of the word and basically abuse of it. Okay. Now, the word Amour. I like that word, Amour. That means love in Spanish. That means love in French. That means love in Italian. French got it from Italian. Italian getting their stuff from Latin. Then you got your vulgar Latin, your classical Latin, ecclesiastical Latin, modern Latin. I didn't realize there's so much Latin variations. But when you keep tracing all of this and going into language, you find that they're connecting to older languages, non-European of what we would call today. And it links back to African languages. And in Africa, there's about over 180 dialects, different dialects there. And depending which region you are coming from, they could be all 700 different formats, you know what I'm saying? Different expressions and aspects of a language. So, different tribes have a different dialect, yet you live in the same continent. So there's a diversity there with language. But anyway, going back to Amour, in my first show, when I was talked about love, is love a verb or is love a noun? And, you hear people talk about love's a verb. So what is a verb? A verb is, when you are, your action. Okay? Yeah? Break it down. Action, expression. So people would, have been using this term that love's a verb. So, if you love someone, you got to show that you love them. You got to act, love is, what you doing for someone. How do you show them you love them, or how do you express love for it to be an active force rather than just lip service. Okay, I hear that. But then that gets into more complicated stuff because many people are, still caught up in their conditioning, societal conditioning. You're dealing with your background. You're dealing with childhood emotional states of whether you were emotionally nurtured and loved, or if you didn't receive that kind of emotional nurturing and lovingness. So that kind of is going to play upon people's interpretation even of being able to receive love if they was not familiar with any nurturing, emotional nurturing and warmth and positive injection, you can say, to strengthen their self-esteem and give them a healthy sense of presence and appreciation for themselves. If that has not really been the case in one's background, then love is going to be associated with trauma. Love is going to be associated with a lot of things that it's not, you see. And then you're going to have the conditioning. If you're going to say love's a verb, then it's like you got to prove to somebody, prove to me you love me, And that person may have a problem in even being receptacle to love. So it doesn't matter what you do. That individual still, this whole thing about proving you love someone, and it just becomes all earthly, human conditioning and manipulation, and you see these conditions. If you meet the conditions, then you get the prize. If you don't meet the conditions, then you better, your demise. You know what I'm saying? Get the fuck out of here. So all these notions of love, especially from the Western perspective, is being very distorted. So, is love a verb? Is love a noun? All the things, you gotta meet conditions, conditional love, But really, on this plane that we're on, 3D, love is actually experienced as fear. In fact, it's not love, it's fear. Because more time people associate love with fear, with pain. People would associate love with a need to protect themselves because of, past experiences. And what folk don't understand about the ego personality, it does get a bad rap because really your ego is only doing its job. It's trying to protect you, keep you safe. You see what I'm saying? From external harm. It's there to protect the individual I. Okay? So you have a personal bodyguard, if you want to put it that way. That's what your ego is. Everybody's got an ego. A plant has got an ego. From a baby to a plant. Come on. Ego, right? But this miscomprehension about the ego, get rid of your ego and all of this and that, is just because, folk don't really study themselves to know themselves. More of the things we take on board is what so-called scientists have told you, theories, things that have been repeated over and over again so much times that it's now being drilled into your mind, and you believe that you take that to formulate your perception of yourself. So what others have told you, external manufactured sources, has now become one's programs, how you perceive yourself. This is what you are. I was talking last Tuesday about human. How many people talk about being human and defending this human and holding on about human, and they don't even look at the basic simplicity of the word and the fact that who told you were, you were told you were human. Scientists tell you these things, and most of the things scientists have been saying to you for decades, centuries, have been theories. They've never been proven facts in the sense of experiments to confirm one way or another if the theory holds up. So this is why a lot of things change over time. What you were taught as facts when you were growing up turn out to be non-factual today, by this time now. So what's the truth of all of this? What's the truth of all of this? Because love is fear for many people. Pain, something to be avoided, something to protect yourself from. Many people are walking around with a closed heart while they talk about I love you and love this and I love that and all of that business. And, they're talking to you while they're making out. They got a big heart. Oh, I love, They're talking to you, from the crack in the door with the chain still stuck on it. You know what I'm saying? And you see, a lot of people really do need healing. But your ego is basically doing stuff like, okay, remember what happened last time? Yes, we can't have that happening again. So anytime the heart begins to open up and the ego now feels vulnerable, it says, I think you need to shut that down. You know what happened last time. You know what I mean? And if you listen to that, you would be actually preventing yourself and missing out on some greater experiences, because people end up getting caught up in a judgmental mindset based upon past experiences and how they judge themselves and how they judge others, when they don't take no responsibility for anything that they have co-created, co-experienced, within their lives. So, and then when you're dealing with the cultural conditioning around love, you hear it talked about so much. It's dramatized, you got a lot of movie stuff, tragic, what you call, crimes of passion, the things people associate with love, which is actually jealousy, insecurity, envy, and possessiveness, fear of loss, and therefore ownership. You belong to me. Therefore, what the heck are you doing? You're my possession. These ideas, these type of things people talk about as love and relationships, and I'm mentioning all of this stuff because these are the highlights of what the transits are picking up. What's kicking up, because you've just had full moon in Scorpio, which is the urge to merge. This is relationship. This is, and you're dealing with Libra, which is about relationships, diversity of relationships, finding the balance between opposites. And you got Gemini, which is about communication. That is a relating. Through communication, you are able to develop connections. And through those connections, it helps you understand where you fit into the larger scheme or the bigger picture of things, okay? But, there's different levels of communication. You know what I mean? There's superficial and deeper, and then, with less substance, and then there's deeper communication with so much more substance, okay? So the thing is now, when we talk about love from an English perspective, you can see how it's, you got just so much distortions and versions of what people run around, assigning the word love to. Now, when you deal with the word amour, this is where, some people say you cannot define love. Some people can tell you what love is not, but it's very difficult to tell you what love is. Oh, look here. Thank you, sister. You see what's happening is here. I would prefer if you tuned in and phoned up, send a text to the studio number or called in. But if you want to send them to my phone, cool. But I just had a message coming in here just now. The root for human, especially in legalese language, means sea monster. Can't remember where it's found. This is from a sister named Mut. Thank you, Mut, for that you want to highlight, because you see. You see, she's correct, because in the legalese dictionary, you see a lot of words. You're given an interpretation, the general public, okay? And then in legalese, they have a different interpretation for the very same words that the general public will use and believe and derive their meaning from. But in legalese, the same words, the same thing you're going to be talking about, don't have the same interpretation, does not have the same meaning in, especially Black Law's Dictionary. I think some folk, if you can afford it or if you can find it, go seek it out, because you will get to know what I mean. Because thank you for the reminder, because Yeah, all these words have different connotations. It depends on who you're talking to and what is the frame of reference that you are establishing a form of communicative foundation for you to be able to comprehend what each one is saying. Because, different assignments, different people assign different meanings to the same thing. So, when people talk about, do you get where I'm coming from? Or are we on the same wavelength? Or are we on the same page? You see what these connotations mean. You see what it really saying. You got to get into resonance, okay? So, yeah, so human means sea monster, yeah, in legalese. But if you look into the word in Greek, which is where it comes from humus, it means ground, dirt, soil, earth, okay? Ground, dirt, and soil. So that's what you're holding on to. That's what you're jumping up saying, we're only human. And you see how stupid that is. You're getting stumped if you don't do any research and take responsibility to seek the answers to your questions. And some people ain't questioning at all. They just want to keep regurgitating and keep themselves and others in bondage, where the consciousness is just contracted like a fist and not expanding out openly like an open hand, to receive another. So anyway, or to receive more. So this love, back to love, because, it's either you just can't seem to do without it. Some folk, put on an iron shirt. They've created iron around the heart in order to protect them from this vulnerable state, you see, of what love can, incite within you or generate. But the thing is, if you can understand that love doesn't do that, the nature of love isn't that. What happens is people's emotional state, the insecurities, the uncertainties, what's being playing around in the unconscious that you're unconscious of, that is influencing you from the dark, from the unconscious realm. It's these things that have to come up to conscious awareness in order to clear, for the soul to be able to unburden itself, purify itself from all past memories that no longer serve it. And thoughts and feelings that are burdening the soul down. You see, the soul, who you is, because I'm not talking about the soul like you got change in your pocket and you got a soul, and you are the soul. But you see, one can speak and say that till they say you're blue in the face. You see, it's what you have to come to directly experience as yourself. At the moment, what we are experiencing ourselves to be is not what we are, It's a conditioning. It's like how you train a pet to become, to behave in a particular way, all right? And when it's trained to behave in that particular way, then that's how it's going to be. You see, prior to that training, that's not how it got on, prior to that conditioning, that's not how it behaved. So, it was more closer to its natural state, you see? And we've kind of been drawn very far from that by the outreach, the outlook, being drawn outside of ourselves more so than introspecting and focusing inward. So in a way, the way I'm going on about this evening, Amour, I'm going to break down what this word is because it gives more of an insight, I would say, to love, which is very limited as a word in English language. And as I said, many people have different connotations to it. So, however, love is an essential thing. Love is essential. But wouldn't you rather the authentic love? Wouldn't you desire to connect with the authenticity of what that energy, what the energy of what that word symbolizes? A lot of people look at love as a desperate need to hold on to that which they fear losing or leaving them. Now that ain't love. That is just what it is. Fear and of loss, abandonment, because if what's coming up from past, what's coming up from the unconscious, what's coming up from one's past conditionings and experiences that one is using to what has set one's how one perceives reality to be, because people's realities are shaped by, people's realities are shaped by forces and outside forces. We allow outside forces to shape us. You're born into a family. You're the family, and I've said before, the word family it comes from familiar, and familiarity can breed contempt. This is where these terms come from. And you are outside of yourself. You are outside of yourself. You're always looking for approval. You're always looking for the sense of dependency on the parent, mother and your father. And not everybody's being born into stable families, and so therefore, haven't had their background is very very played with a lot of trauma from young, abandonment, loss, all these type of things. So the emotional state of an individual has a lot of healing, a lot of if you through childhood, when we're dealing with unresolved emotional issues, then we end up having displaced emotions in adulthood. Okay, and then relationships can end up becoming the purging ground. Because it's in relationships that things are gonna happen that's gonna bring up the stuff that's sealed within your unconscious, to rise to the conscious floor of your awareness, and now you got stuff to deal with you never realized you had to deal with. You've got stuff to work on you never realized you had to work on, and usually because we look outside of ourselves, because this is how society conditions you, look outside of yourself. You hear the term, what's your outlook? You don't really hear about what's your inlook. And you get this term about good looking. And when you take a good look in, a good look inwardly, you see, this begins to take you in the correct direction. Because no matter what road you walk, all roads turn into a U-turn. Because it all comes back to you. You. You see, U-turn back to you. So is U Street, you see, and this externalization, this observation to look outside, that's how society and cultural conditioning, that's what it does. It programs you. So you look outside for approval, you look outside for validation, you look outside to the peer group or social for your or you look outside for your social status. All of this stuff to validate you. And this is the need of this is the human personality, the ego personality, the self-image that was developed from when you were a child. When you're dealing with your emotional self-image, your personal self-image. So love ends up can be a very confusing thing if you don't know how to think outside of your belief systems you have been conditioned in to hold, okay, and structure your perception of reality from. So the word love in English is quite limited. Love, it's interesting because in German it's leaf, and it's also in Old English Lufu, and in German I think love, Lufu, that it breaks down to mean to remain, something that is dear to you, you would like to remain, okay, so. Yeah, I think this is where this English word love, Love, kind of stretches its roots back too. But the intention or the thought vibration, the how it was used, its usage, what was meant by it, the meaning behind it, was that which was dear to you, that which you want to remain. Okay, so this is this love thing, but it becomes very limited because I enjoy strawberry ice cream, and I could say I love strawberry ice cream, but it ain't gonna be the same kind of love that I mean or are gonna be referring to when it comes to soul to soul, interconnection, intimacy. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, you see, I can go into some jokes and humor here, but I'll keep it. I'll just keep it as it is at the moment and see what happens later on. So, love. So in French, amour, amour, amour. Amour is known as love, and you'll see it as just some would say, again, this personal love, okay? This personal love. So, when you look at the word amour, there's a prefix to this word, and when you go in and do introspection, when you go in and study and look and do research, you have to also be able to not always be don't get hung up and dependent upon reading stuff, right? Because you need to understand that a lot of your insightful consciousness expansive insights are not going to come from a book. It's going to come from, not the book outside of you. It's going to come from within you, okay? And a lot of the things that you may read are there to keep you confined in already limited within a cultural framework, especially that certain ideas and concepts are coming from. It just keeps you locked in that. Doesn't think outside of it. Doesn't think and stretch beyond it. But this is what you got to do. You see, you're the one who can go beyond what you've been conditioned from the outside, manufactured sources, to shape your perception, okay, and mold you into a particular way of being. And it's not who you are at all. It's just a manufactured version. So when you look at this word amour, the first part, A-M-E, but it's pronounced am. And amour is A-M-O-U-R, or in French is A-M-O-R. But the thing is, the prefix, those of you who are aware, basics of words, you have a prefix and a suffix, okay? So the prefix is actually basically telling you what this word is all about, you know what I mean? The suffix conditions the word. The prefix is what shows you the root of where the word's coming from, or what it's related to. So, am actually breaks down to mean soul, translates to mean soul, S-O-U-L, yes. Am breaks down to mean soul. So it's the same as am as in I am. Yeah, that's how you'd pronounce it. So am of amour translates to mean soul. Okay? So now check where I'm going to be going with this, because remember, I'm talking about love, and the word amour is just, people just say, oh, that's just a French or Italian way of saying love. Oh, the same way, we say love in English, Spanish and Italian, they say love in their way. It's amour. But it's more than this limited type of idea that we get in English, love. You know what I'm saying? You can love a nutcracker, but that's not really going to get you into the true higher degrees of what love really is. So you got this prefix, which is am, A-M-E, pronounced as am as in I am. And it actually means soul, okay? Your soul. Now, last Tuesday, I was talking about the word amour and how it's related to a word amauru. And before you even got your Latin, before you got your Italian or your French, in ancient Africa, you use the term Africa, there was the hieroglyphs. There's the ancient language and dialects in different lands, okay? Way before Western domination and perception. So you got the term amun, amen, okay? You have the word ama, you know? I think the Dogons have that word ama, meaning the mother, okay? Principle ama, where you'll have mama also from, okay? So the word am translates to soul, and ur or ur, if you are ur. Even in English, if you have a word and you go urtext, 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 that would mean some old ancient text. The Ur language, that would refer to something old, ancient, original. You know what I'm saying? Ur, right? So the UR also breaks down to mean light, because you have to look into different dialects. You cannot translate and think you're going to get the roots of words by just leaning on English roots, English sources. You can't just depend upon just looking at everything into the Greek or the Latin or the Dutch and the German, and you'll see certain correlations with certain words. You got to go broad. You got to get into the Hebrew. You got to go into different dialects of Arabic and Syriac. You got to go into different dialects of what do you say, African different dialects, but it's so diverse as well, when you're dealing with these languages. Language means tongue. I mean, just look up the simplicity of the words you use, man. Because when you do that, you won't be able to be led too far astray from the foundation, the roots of how of the tree. You know what I'm saying? You'll know how it grew. You know how it grows. You will then be able to kind of become more you become more, how can I say, more balanced within yourself. Because, and your thoughts and your feelings can line up more when you understand the basic simplicity of what a word actually was intended to be used as. Now you got wicked meaning good. This is how things get twisted up. Wicked don't change into good now just because you say it's good. You know what I'm saying? It's like water doesn't all of a sudden become, dry just because you want to call water sand, or paper, give it a different word to something, different meaning. Anyway, it just creates more confusion. But anyway, you deal with the word amour, and it means soul. And ur breaks down actually to mean light. So basically, now when we're talking about love as amour in French or Italian, and when you break this down, you now end up coming up with the light of the soul, or the soul's light. So this is what amour, love. Now, in Bhakti Yoga, which is the yoga of devotion, because there's different formulations of yoga. Yoga means union. It's basically the practices that you would do through yoga that can bring you into unity consciousness. Because that's really what it is. A lot of people may believe the asanas, the movements, this is what yoga is. These are just preparation points. Yoga is actually unity consciousness. It means to yoke or to unite, union. So unite with what? You're going to be, and then when you obtain that consciousness, if you're a man, you'll be called a yogi. If you're a female, you'll be called a yogini. So you take on the state of you end up lining with the state of unity consciousness. So this is where you realize your oneness with all that is. You don't experience yourself as a separated, separate, fragmented. Your relationship is separative and fragmented from source. unity consciousness yoga, when you have that state, you realize your oneness, you realize your integrity, you realize that you are an integrated whole being, and it's about experiencing yourself holistically. You see, seeing things in a holistic way rather than a fragmented way, an analytical way, a judgmental split off kind of way, where that then creates a lot of biased opinions that now becomes an exclusive group rather than dealing with inclusivity, allness. You see what I mean? So you're not dealing with the fullness of yourself when you are when you're separated from yourself through judgmental thoughts, judgmental feelings. You see? So back to this. I am, or back to the am, meaning soul, and amour, is love. Is light. So when you're dealing with amour, you're dealing with the light of the soul. And this is what is love. And when you're dealing with bhakti yoga, devotional yoga, this is about opening up one's heart to you entering into unity consciousness through devotion, through the practice of everything whatever you're doing it as you're serving the divine within you. So there's a devotional discipline that everything you do, you're seeing whomever you're doing it for, you're seeing it as an extension of source. This is a reflection of source, and you're serving source. This is the type of, this is what the bhakti, principled bhakti yoga will do. So now what that does, that gets you to a point where you begin to ask the question, who is loving? Who's being loved? And love itself, right? So what happens here, a lot of people, so let me get this back. So it's for you to get to know, well, who is loving? When I love, you feel this. Now, I've just said to you that amour is the light of the soul, and amour is translated in French and Italian as love. And usually it's romantic love. And usually it gets watered down and manipulated with all this TV, romantic illusionary type of stuff that people associate love with. So much conditions as well, love you today, hate you tomorrow, that type of thing. Now when you're dealing with now with the light of the soul, amour, okay? Now check this out. Remember what I'm saying now. Amour is soul light, or the light of the soul, okay? And amour translates to mean love. And then bhakti yoga, devotional yoga, you have practices that are to take you into merging with divine love through devotion, right? So when you're moving through that way or that discipline to know yourself, it comes to understanding now what is loving. Love itself, who and what is loving, and whom is or what is being loved. Okay, and this is where when you go and study that, now you come to directly find out, or you do the studies or whatnot, you'll find out. But obviously, experience is greater than theory. Okay, or just depending on the intellect. Experience, direct experience. Now, the soul does not speculate. It does not hypothesize. It does not theorize. The soul desires to directly experience that which it seeks to become more aware of, right? So the soul desires to perceive directly that which it desires to know more of, which is really ultimately another aspect of itself. So it doesn't deal with theory. It doesn't deal with speculation. It doesn't deal with hearsay. It deals direct contact, direct experience. So when you're dealing with the Bhakti yoga, devotional yoga, I mean, look this up, man. Just look it up for your own selves. But break it down, simplify. You come to realize that it's not the body, because usually people look and see the body and think, this is the person. I love the person. The person loves another person. A person. Person is mask. Okay? That's what person comes from. Persona, mask. Okay? It does have another level to it, but I won't go there with that yet. Well, no, why? Why not? Person also breaks down to through sound. Personification through sonics. Sound. Sound is light, you see, and light becomes a crystallized liquid of that things, manifest through. So you become a personification through sound. Sound, light. Primordial sound fields produce the light fields and the light, and then this is how just stepping down in frequency towards consciousness now appearing as matter. Okay? So, because that's what everything is. Everything is consciousness, and the universe is basically consciousness appearing as matter. Okay? So matter is the expression of consciousness. Yeah. It's not the other way around, where people believe that consciousness arises out of the brain, out of matter. You see, that's Greco business. That's Greek false scholars, philosophers, whatever, who derived a lot of their teachings from ancient Kemet, anyway. But prior to that, they were believing that the substance of the universe was matter. So this is the reason why, from the Western point of view, there's a belief that the more material things you acquire means that you have more substance, when is totally the opposite. You see, the more you expand in consciousness, that's what your substance is. Matter comes out of consciousness. In fact, matter is only consciousness solidified, stepping down in frequency till it's made visible. You know what I mean? To be able to be perceived on the physical earthly plane. Okay? That's why we got bodies, so we can see each other, make ourselves visible on this physical plane, earthly plane. But really, whom and what we is consciousness, formless awareness. Non-physical reality is more real than what you see tangibly. But so when you're dealing with the Bhakti yoga, as I say, Bhakti, B-A-K-T-I-T, T-I-T-I. So you then come to discover the source of this love, this devotion, that which opens you up so much. You will, you see, love can transform you. Love actually dissolves all of that which is not of its own nature. Love is a dissolving, is like the universal solvent. Okay? Love loosens, love dissolves, love transcends all limitations, all boundaries, all time, all space, you see? And what happens here is that in devotional yoga or Bhakti yoga, you come to a point where you're going to the source of love. You realize it's not the form. The form has its place. The form has its it has its place in things. But when we're dealing with love here now, the human will always think about love as a limited thing. There's not enough love. Do you have enough love for me? How much? How long will this love last? A very limited, a very finite and conditional way of perceiving love. But when you're dealing with devotional yoga, when you're dealing with Amour, the light of the soul, when you're dealing with love, what ends up happening is that you transcend these earthly concepts. You realize that all you've been taught about love is nothing to do with love at all. It's just human, limited, man-made beliefs, okay? In order to in order to control and manipulate or to hide one's insecurities, one's fears. You know, this dependency on not feeling enough unless you, I know, cohabitate. You know, it's limited basically. You know, it's got conditions, and it's always wondering, is there enough love for, to go around? Right? So you got this limited love. So this is not love. This is not what the prime substance that all creation has been drawn out from. This energy, Amour, the light of the soul's light. You see, think about how different you're going to perceive love now, knowing that Amour breaks down to light of the soul, and how it translates in your English through your, from your French or Italian to love. But you may just look at this as human love, limited love, conditioned love, which ain't got nothing to do with love. It's just what humans say to kind of, you could even say, I like you, it's just a way of, but you see, that shifts tomorrow into dislike, or tomorrow into, if one did not meet a certain condition, now you don't love them. You see, you got to question all of this stuff. Why are you using this word? You know what I'm saying? So you realize it has nothing to do, the way we use it, English or human level, has nothing to do with what it is. Now, many people will say there's different kinds of love, man. The way you love your children is going to be different to how you love your lover. How you love your lover is going to be different to how you love your parents. How you love your parents is going to be different to how you love your brother or your sister or siblings. Yeah, there's, but the thing is that when you're dealing with love, most folk, when they're talking about love, they want a love that lasts. They want a love that doesn't change. They don't want a love that's going to leave them, or a love they can lose. All of that, would be those concerns are coming from the human level of looking at and perceiving love. Okay, the earth, ground, soil. As I said, what the word human means, or sea monster, if you want to go with legalese. Why do we want to call ourselves things others called us? Why do we not define ourselves? Why do we look outside of ourselves for everything to define us? You see what I'm saying? This puts you in your own prison. It keeps you in your own limitations, because it's what is structuring your consciousness, and from your consciousness is how you externalize and manifest your beliefs on this plane. So when we're now dealing with Amour, as I said, the light of the soul, and now you see where I'm drawing this. I'm bringing this into like, well, look, in devotional yoga, you come to realize that it's your soul that is love. It is the soul that is loving, and it's the soul that is being loved. Now, most of us do not identify as being souls. A lot of us just identify as flesh, blood, and bone, and that you're here sojourning here, and this is the material physical world, and you become, the spiritual world is on the other side, and you don't become spiritual until you drop the corpse and move on. Now, that separative kind of perception of separation between spirit and matter, again, it's not integral, it's not holistic. You're dealing with fragmented, separative, judgmental, you know what I'm saying, thinking, which makes you feel you're disconnected from all that is, because it's all a perception. And as you perceive, so you will receive. As you perceive things to be, so you will receive that meaning for you. And that's how you will experience the effect. So now, when we're dealing with this love that doesn't change, this love that you cannot lose, this love that cannot be lost, you're talking about, you hear the term eternal love, unconditional love, you see? And look at the words, unconditional love. So it's not that you have to do something, meet conditions in order to be found worthy of love. You see, that's all human concepts. And you see, so what I'm saying here now when you're dealing with Amour, the light of the soul, and as I said, that when you're dealing with devotional yoga, which is about divine love, right? Which is telling you it's not dealing with the earthly human limitations based on fear. It's usually motivated by fear, and to feel I don't want to be lonely, or one's insecurity, or needing someone else to like you for you to like yourself. I mean, these type of things you realize is coming from the background, our unmet needs in early nurturing, emotional nurturing, and being loved. Okay, a lot of folk don't understand how all of this stuff from from way back shapes you. Okay, it shapes you, and you're the ones to wake up to be conscious. You have to become conscious to make the change. Otherwise, you're just operating through old programs and conditionings. So when we're dealing with Amour, and Amour is the light of the soul, and Amour translates to love, and we're dealing with the soul, and we're dealing with that which I am cannot die. That which I am cannot die, and that which I am not cannot live except through the illusion I'm projecting through my mind of whatever it is that you're believing is you, but it's not. You see, that which can perish, that which transforms, ain't you. That which is eternal, that's you. Because when they talk about created in the image and the likeness of Source, well, Source is eternal. Source is not that which is here today and gone tomorrow. You're not dealing with that that resides within time, space, and matter. You're dealing with that which transcends time, space, and matter. So that being your origin, that being your source of being, then that which you've drawn out from, that's where you've been drawn out from, or you draw your beingness out from, that state, that is an eternal, everlasting. That is transcendent to time. That is transcendent to space. That's transcendent to things, matter. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about now the soul's light and referring that to Amour and talking about, well, love is the soul's light. It means that you already are that which we've been conditioned to look look outside of ourselves for, in a society that actually is dealing with fear when they use the word love. 3D is only dealing with fear, not the actual love. Now, the love correlates to your soul, and this energy is very intense, and the ego can be very afraid of that, because the ego is just dealing on the past. The ego is just gonna bring up like, oh, gotta protect you, yo, and the intensity of the soul, that's the soul's nature. But for the ego, or to the personality, that becomes very uncomfortable. That becomes like, oh my gosh, this energy's too much. You know what I'm saying? Because the love we're talking about, you've heard the term love is a fire. And fire is an element which is seen as that which purifies, that which burns out all toxins. I mean, look, even when your body, if you get some infection inside of your body, your immune system would kick in. Yeah, you got a natural inner protector, your immune system. And that then now what? Your body temperature rises, when people catch a fever. And then you get, the society, how you're being taught is like, oh, you got to bring the fever down. You got to bring the temperature down. Now, that's the worst thing you can do, because your body is naturally heating up. In order to turn anything that is solid into liquid so it can be more easily driven out of the body. So toxins, okay, can be purged from the body in a more easier, efficient way. So this is why when you get hot, you will sweat. You will, mucus will run. You cough, you'll cough out. All these different ways to get rid of fluid. Okay? It's the heat that turns solid into liquid, and then that liquid is more easily dispersed out of the body if it's toxins, in order for you to become rid of that. So your body's naturally, this fire is purging, purifying you from what shouldn't be in you. What holds what's gonna, anything that's gonna undermine the integrity of the system, your body, the health and well-being of it, because it is serving you. So you look after that which serves you, so it can serve you longer. So it's not about disrespecting the body and just talking about soul and spirit. No, your spirituality is expressing itself through the physicality. And this is when you look at things more from an integrated point of view rather than separation. Spirit is separate from matter, or matter separate from spirit, and you people are coming from a separative point of view. You see, and you have to move more into an integrative point of view, or become more wake up to the integrity of yourself, because integrity means it's coming from realizing you are an integral whole being. You're an integral whole unit. You're not a fractured, separated, split off thing. You know what I mean? You're not a snip off. You're the whole thing. You see? So all of us, look at a cell. A cell will duplicate itself whole, perfect, exact, complete with all its capabilities, that is transferred to the new cell that has been divided from itself, to become perfect and to be perfect and complete as itself. So when we dealing with the soul, and when we're talking about the soul's light, Amour. Now, soul also linked to solar. I've talked about this numerous times. So your soul is linked to sol, and sol is linked to solar, and solar is the solar system, is the sun. Stars are suns. Suns are stars. So now with a sun is consistently filled with light, consistently and continually shines. It continually shines. So now you're dealing with soul, sol, okay? And I said am means soul, and ur is light. So amour is the love, which is really your soul. Now, you're dealing with fire. And fire anciently was a metaphor for the soul, always used as a metaphor for the soul. Because as I said, fire, always, ancient times was seen as power and illumination and purification. Because fire burns up everything that's not of itself. It's a rapid chemical reaction, okay? So all of these are symbols that became things you look at on the outside of you, but originally they were just external symbols or personifications to remind you of what you are, representing what's within you already, and you're to wake up to that, so you got the light of the soul, which is the love. You're dealing with yoga. When you're dealing with bhakti yoga, devotional yoga, I've told you that you come to a point where you realize that it's only the soul that is loved, it's only the soul that is loving, and it's only the soul that is being loved. So when you would say you look at another individual and you say you love them, are you loving? What are you loving? Who is loving? And whom's being loved? You see, these three questions, So to break it down just simply, really, it's not the person, it's not the body. It's like you will walk into a house, but it's more than the house that you are appreciating. It's what's in the house, what dwells within the house. You walk into a house and you're going to have furniture, you're going to have bed, you're going to have cupboards, you're gonna have your utensils, you're gonna have your things, all your things that make you comfortable in the house. So you got food, you got all whatever it is you need. Okay, just simplifying that. So it's not just the outer frame. That's what I'm saying. It's not just the outer framework. Now the outer framework does reflect the state of consciousness when we're talking from that perspective, our body relationship to our consciousness. But based upon the state of someone's consciousness dwelling in the house that they occupy, it will also reflect in the state of the house. You see how it goes? So what I'm basically saying, I'm talking about going beyond the framework to the indweller and realizing it's your soul, which is love. It is the light of the soul is love, because your soul is drawn from that energy, that internal, unconditioned, creative source energy, which is ecstasy and love. Love is another word for connection. When you get a hug, you get a beautiful hug and you hugging, and when you hug someone, what they say, the body, a little baby, getting hugged, what's happening chemically in there? They say that these chemicals called oxytocin become secreted, which is a bonding hormone. It makes you feel connected. Okay, so you got a chemical translation of a vibrational frequency and state of consciousness that also makes its presence felt in the body as a chemical message. You see what I'm saying? So oxytocin gets secreted into the system. You feel that you belong. You feel connected. You see what I'm saying? So you can see how love can actually also mean connection, where you find a resonance, a harmonic resonance with you and another, or that which resonates like you. You see? This is why your vibe is your tribe, because you draw to you that which is of similar frequency to what you are resonating on yourself. Okay? And because everything is vibration, and people don't look at things in this way, they're looking at things from solid. They're looking at things from as solid forms or solid concrete concepts. So it makes it a bit different to grasp these broader points of view to enable the expansion of their and growth of their inner light of awareness. You see, because it's all about the expansion of your inner light of awareness. When we use the word awareness and we use the word consciousness, we're also dealing with energy, living energy, intelligent, creative energy, has its own nature, not the nature man puts upon what people have been calling God for so long, and this as this external authority. The nature of the very source of your being can be known directly the more you begin to make contact with your essential self, the indweller of the house, so to speak. Because why I say so to speak is because really your house, your soul, your body's in your soul, not your soul's in your body. People say that, when you pass on, your soul leaves the body and, moves on. Yeah, but your body, your soul isn't in your body. Your body's in your soul. Because when we talk about the soul, remember, this is metaphors for understanding. You're dealing with consciousness, energy, awareness, which is independent of form, to exist. It's actually where all forms come from. Another way of putting it, it's the wave in the ocean and the ocean in the wave. The ocean is the soul, the wave is the personal self-image that is now being, that the soul is created as a representative of itself, as its vehicle of expression, that it can integrate its experiences it's having consciously, yeah? So we can integrate consciously the experience it's having as it grows, as the soul is evolving, okay, or growing and expanding. So that's the relationship between the soul, the ocean and the wave, the soul and your personality. So the more one's consciousness is centered in the soul, then you end up becoming aware that you as an expression, as a wave, is actually connected to the ocean that you never have been separate from. And now you're more soul centered in your awareness of who you are. And now you are the soul, and you're also aware of the image you have created for your own expression in order to experience yourself through it. So this is when you now have an integrated, all right, holistic relationship with yourself. Now also the thing with love is also, as I said, connectivity. It is also the force behind the drive to merge with another. You see, to merge with that you desire to become one with. You see, because there's two impulses in the soul. One to merge with source, the other to separate from source. Now, these two impulses, just like within, you get in certain metaphysical teachings letting you know that the soul is androgynous. But people then draw pictures and stuff and give you this picture of some physical form with a man and woman body, genital organs all in one, and some kind of hermaphrodite creature, which are like, what the? These are just symbolic. This is not how something looks. The soul has the masculine and feminine. The inner masculine and feminine forces must be united. This is integrity. This is the sacred marriage. This is the sacred union that takes place within. You see? So this is about merging, becoming one with that. That's how through merging is how you become one. So when the soul now is love, Amour, the light of the soul. The soul, you already love. This eternal. This love can never leave you. This love can never be lost. It can only be obscured and buried under erroneous thinking. All right? Erroneous beliefs. False identity. False association. That's what can keep you from realizing who you are, you see. So then we start looking into man-made concepts and limited finite beliefs for our answers. And it just keeps you like a hamster moving around one of them flipping what's not, in a cage, just running around a treadmill, run, just keep going on and on and on and on, going nowhere, you see. So it's about freeing, liberating. And this is what it is, about freedom. Because freedom is before bondage. Freedom was before bondage. Huh? So freedom is your natural state. Freedom is our the naturalness of ourselves. Freedom. Bondage came after. And this is what the soul comes to liberate itself from. The force concepts that when it enters into the human condition, it has to contend with these illusions. The darkness of matter, That's what the darkness is, matter. You understand what I mean? When it's not lit up with the light of the soul, then this is the reason why the body just goes cold and rigor mortis, stiff, rigid. Yeah? What has no life in it becomes stiff. The less vitality that is moving through a structure, the more rigid it becomes, the more inflexible it becomes, the more stiff it becomes, the more, dead, inanimate it becomes. When the vitality, which is the life force of the divine reality of Amour, love, the light of your soul. You see where I'm tying it all together here? All right. This is the reality. This is the divine reality of ourselves. So now this comes more from the heart. Now, for example, you look back at music growing up in the 70s and stuff. Music is, you wouldn't have, if somebody's, look, man, you would know something was good because you felt it. Yeah? It was all heart. You could feel it. Nowadays, yeah, because you can feel the tones. The tones are related to feelings. So you're hearing the tones in the music and the instruments and so forth, and you're feeling all of this because sound is alive. It's living energy. It's living intelligence. Yeah? Go and check out somatics. Yeah, semantics. You will see how frequencies are living intelligences. They organize and arrange geometrical shapes, patterns, and forms as a frequency. Just that frequency, just a frequency is arranging, the substance that it's vibrating through, whether it's sand, metal filings, or water, into a symmetrical, geometrical shape or design. And this is done just by the frequencies. There's no hands going on in here. So you're dealing with intelligence within the frequency to know what to generate, what form to create. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Intelligence is beyond, it's independent of a physical vehicle, So when you're dealing with Amour, you're dealing with the light of your soul, you're dealing with love, and that is what created this body cell by cell. People look and think, how would you think this body was created? It was not manufactured. This body is a divine, intelligent design. No hands has been involved in building this body. Yet this body has not been generated in a haphazard way. This being directed, guided, intelligently constructs, builds, everything that has now become the composition of what you call this body. This has been done without any hands. This has been done through a directive intelligence, instructing every cell to become what it became, and even before that. So you're dealing with a force and an intelligence and feel, intelligence and feel, intelligent feelings, intelligence and feel. You're dealing with an intelligence that's far beyond and transcendent to the earthly rationale, intellect, limitations of the five senses, dependent upon external instruments to calculate and verify what it can then say is tangible. Yes, it exists. I mean, what constructed this body, this intelligence that moves in, through, and around, that transcends this human intellect. Now, so the light of the soul is actually the love, the eternal love, intelligence, the substance that all life, all things have been drawn out from. And when these forms change or decay or come to an end, whom and what you are can never come to an end because it transcends time. So if it transcends time, only time has a beginning and an ending. That which transcends time has no beginning and has no ending. You see? So this can be a little bit strenuous for the human mind, the intellect to try to gather. But your soul is far beyond this limitation. So the soul is the soul is love, is pure source energy. You cannot be different to the source, to the nature of your source. You get these limited beliefs that people, gets tied up in. Like, you cannot know the mind of God. Okay, check this reasoning. Just for this, argument's sake, I'm going to use the word God. But, people got it's a very limited perspective. You just use the word God, man. You don't know what the nature of what you're calling God to be. But anyway, just for simplicity. So you're told that you cannot know, no one can ever know the mind of God. Yeah? Now, at the same time, God is where you're supposed to come from. Okay? God is supposed to be the origin, the source of where you came from before the physical universe, before the world. Yeah? So now, if you come from that, which you have now been told you cannot know, how does that make sense? Because if you come from the mind of God, but you cannot know the mind of God, if I'm gonna squeeze, get some oranges, and I go squeeze the juice out of these oranges, I will be left with orange juice. I wouldn't be left with ginger beer or grape juice. Because the juice coming from the source, oranges, that I'm squeezing the juice from cannot be different from the nature of its source. I cannot squeeze juice from oranges and get cranberry sauce. I can only get orange juice. Do you get what I'm saying? Hope you can follow this kind of, this kind of reasoning here, because you cannot be different from the nature of your source. Water flows from an ocean. Yeah. Rivers flow from you got fresh water and salt water, right? And you're not going to get vanilla coming from the source of where the river, the water's coming from the source of this river flowing, throughout the land. You're not, when it comes to your part of the land, it's not going to turn into vanilla ice cream. It's going to be water, right? Because it cannot be different. Its nature cannot be different from the source of where it comes from. So how can it be impossible for you to know the mind of the source from which you come from, which also would mean that you contain the mind of God within yourself? And I'm using these terminology just to make it simpler in what I'm saying, because you can't just, in these days and time, hold on to the word God without examining your belief system about that, and what is God, and what is the nature of this God. Is very limited, based on religious dogma that depends on faith, mere faith and belief. When the soul don't depend on faith and belief, it depends on actual communication with the source of its being. It wants to give me the proof, that type of thing. I said earlier on that soul desires to know directly. It doesn't speculate. It doesn't theorize. Soul's got courage. It will go into the most, that's the reason why you incarnate here, because you got that courage. The soul doesn't know fear. That is something learned and taught to you down here. Okay? And, so Amour is the light of the soul. Amour is love in French and in Italian, but now I've just given you the metaphysical, the deeper metaphysical, all right, meaning of a fact, okay? Because I wrote some notes down here thinking I would need them, but So I'm just reading something here. Deep is best, but wow. Yeah, deep is best. A fisherman going out in the ocean. They can't get no fish or catch no big game by staying close to the coast. You can't get no big game. You're not going to get no reality. You're not going to get no real fish by staying at the coastline. You got to go into the deep blue sea. Yeah, cast that net. You know what I'm saying? Get fish, y'all. You know what I'm saying? My grandpa on my pa's side was a fisherman. So, you know what I mean? Fishermen don't stay upon the coastline, star. If he catch fish, he knows he's got to get deep, man. Go into the deep ocean, So this is ourselves. We got to go deep into our emotional self, because you see, the emotional self is also how your soul is evolving and growing, because you experience life through feeling. It's not just through thinking, Anyway, wow. So, Amour. So now Amour means the light of the soul, and this is the love we're talking about. Not this human Mickey Mouse, TV series of soap, intrigue, drama, and catastrophe, and all of these love triangles, and or what you call it, crimes of passion. All this mad doo-doo. You know what I'm saying? That's human. That's all man-made human folly. You know what I'm saying? And people suffer because they will remain suffering as long as they remain ignorant to who they truly are. You see what I mean? And stop allowing the the society to keep you looking outside of yourself, so it can dictate to you who you are. Society dictates to you, defines you, and then you get people doing it to one another because they're all, you see, when you're all, if you're all in a, listen man, if you're all kind of caught up and confined in a mental prison, what ends up happening is that people themselves become their own prison wardens. They become the prison wardens of everybody else. That's why I'm saying this whole thing down here is about freedoms, and freedom was before bondage. And people would even use love to actually bond people, tie people, limit people based on their idea of love, which comes from some fear or insecurity. You see what I'm saying? It's like, jeez. And then we give love a bad rap. You know what I'm saying? Then we turn around and say, cha. You know, even men is like, love a soft thing, man. You know? That's, you know, man, you get men that don't want to love, don't want to open up their heart because, you know, make them soft, you know? A soft, you know? Love turn you into idiot, you know, them things. It's interesting because the things when you feel the love of your soul activate, the things that love can make you do, yeah, to the ego's perspective, it seems you're doing stupidness. You're not being rational. You're not being, you know, you're not being careful, you know, it makes sense. You're doing things that the ego would say, no, this is stupid. Because the ego is only looking to protect you. And it's looking to bring to you what makes you happy within the condition of what is safe based upon your perception you have of reality. And if it's coming from the ego, then nothing's safe. There's always something to worry about. You know what I mean? So you get, you know, and because the ego judges. You see, it's going to judge. It's going to compare this to that and that to this. This is better and this is lesser, or this is greater and this is worse. You know what I'm saying? The ego judges because it's holding on to past experiences that it's trying to kind of prevent you, you know, it's trying to keep you safe from. But the thing is, you grow. You grow through your past. You grow through your experiences. You know, you don't remain a little girl or a little boy. You grow into a big man or a woman. So, but the ego doesn't see and understand that. It's got a very limited perception of or width of awareness. It's solely about keeping you safe from external harm and draw to you what makes you happy, even if it means at the expense of others. Because the ego cannot see that everybody's needs are, everybody's got the right as equal to its own to be, you know, safe and happy. You know what I'm saying? But ego would just go about this stuff at other people's expense. So it doesn't understand the connection. Doesn't understand the broader relationship and connection it has with all. It's separate. It's a separative perception. And the mechanics of separation is judgment. Because judgment is about putting unequal measures and weights and values on things. But when you discern, discernment isn't judgment. Discernment is able to see everything as for what it is. But you will discern by your preference what you will choose to align your focus with. You see what I'm saying? And leave others who prefer to align their focus with something other than what you prefer to, you know, well, they're free to do what they want to do. Let them do it. You don't have to get into judgment and start getting into a clash about whose thing is better and than the other than somebody else's thing. Because you see, you got to deal with the laws of existence here, because you see, everybody there's cause and effect. So leave people to have to experience the cause, the effects of their own choices. You know, this is how you're going to grow and learn. And really, you're not learning, you're remembering what you forgot. In fact, I think it was, who was it, Socrates or flipping Plato, you know, says that learning is really remembering what you had known before, known before and forgotten. Okay, so it's how you're looking at this idea of learning. Because when you look at learning from the way it's being conditioned to you to you know, programmed to you to accept, it means that you come in here as a blank slate, you don't know nothing, and then you now have to go outside of you, depend upon outside of you to fill you up with things that you must learn in order for you before you can know something. So that just makes you just an empty vessel to be filled up with turkey stuffing. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like, you know, how the heck, you know, you see, these are perceptions you come in with and get programmed, and then those before you, your parents, they don't know any better. Then they're just going to be the ones facilitating and passing that crap on to you until you wake up to yourself and say, no, the buck stops here. I'm not going to carry this crap any further forward. I'm waking up to who I am. I'm not going to be following this program no more, you see. But that's a decision the individual's got to make for themselves, you see. So, you know, but what I'm saying is that, you know, there is the laws of the universe. There's the laws of existence, which is governing. Whether you conscious of it or not, whether you choose to be ignorant or conscious, become more woke to the reality of yourself, whether you choose to or not, the laws of existence is in operation. It's never switched off. Okay? So that would mean that if you're not looking to become conscious creators, then you're looking to just continually be creating unconsciously, and then things all would appear as random to you, and you're a victim because, shit, you know, I could never see how I would have created this for myself. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, if it's not pleasing you. So, you know, the day and time we're in now, man, this type of discussion, this is the deal. This is where you got to dive deep. You got to dive deep. You are the infinity. Your water, you're the ocean of infinity that you are to dive deep into. And the deeper you dive into this ocean, this cosmic ocean of devotion of your soul's light that you are, yeah, then you're diving into deeper dimensions of your own self. So the deeper you dive, the higher you reach. You see, because it's all about perception. When you go deep, people think, I'm going deeper, I'm going down and down, going deeper. Well, actually, the deeper, the sweeter, and the higher you reach. You see, it's polarity, it's two extremes of the same thing. The deeper the roots of a tree goes into the earth, the higher the tree grows. You see? You see, when you look at things from an integral perspective, that which you used to look as two, you know, separates, never the twain should meet, actually begin to realize that what you viewed as separate or as dual, that versus this and this versus that, you step up in your consciousness and you begin to perceive. You don't perceive things as dual anymore. You realize you're dealing with two extremes of the same thing. So now you're looking for the balance. You're looking for wholeness. You're not looking for separation. You're not looking to go to the extreme to the left or the extreme to the right and create imbalancement, because extreme creates imbalancement. So then the law of rhythm will kick in to readdress the balance. So I talk about these cosmic laws because you need to know about them. I mean, they want to tell you about physical laws, like that's the only thing that exists. So from the womb to the tomb, people have only been living their life solely on physical, limited laws and energy. All of your source of energy comes from food. Your life force don't come from food. Your life force is coming from source. Yeah? Life force is eternal. It's not limited to the food. Anyway, I'll be going into a different topic. If somebody else was here, I'll most probably go on to it. But so the point I'm keeping this into is about love, and that Amour. Look at it from this perspective. Amour means the light of the soul. Amour is love. Love is the prime original substance, the original form energy that all original creation was drawn out from. So that vibration called love, that substance, that pure source positive energy is what you is. You know, it's like the original, it's like all these plates and cups and, you know, that people would have in their cupboards is made from clay. That's the primary substance for all of the cups and the dishes and, you know, bowls you got. So they're all diverse in different shapes and colors and all of that business. But the substance that have all been drawn out from is clay. So I'm giving that as an analogy, yo. So I'm talking about this energy, source energy, love. And then when you start to go into the life force energy and deal with sexuality and the whole feeling of pleasure and all this thing, what do you call about climax and, reaching the pinnacle, the zenith, the peak point, what's that got to do with a mountain? What does sex got to do with a mountain? You know what I mean? You'd think. Why you call it, and then, yeah, I could get a little bit X-rated here, but I think we should be mature people, mature beings to deal with, sex in a more mature discussion. Spiritual energy of ecstasy, S-E-X. Sex comes from the letter 6, or the number 6, okay? And you're dealing with triangles, 3. So 3 plus 3 makes 6, right? Well, 3 creates a triangle. A trine is a harmonic. It's harmony. It's harmonious communication, okay? So you get one triangle ascending upward, which represents the masculine, fire. And then you get another triangle that's representing the feminine, water. One is the lingam, the other is the yoni. Yeah, all right, in English terms, one is the phallus or the penis, the other one is the vagina. Or, I would say some other word here, but you get what I'm saying. And that comes together. Creates a 6-pointed star. Right. No, it doesn't originate with the Jews or Judaism. No, it existed way before that was usurped and turned into what it's being used to manipulate people to associate it with now. Okay? You're dealing with what pre-existed. Okay? So you're dealing with the unity, the union of the creative life force principle, because it generates life. And life is the great principle. You see, life is the great principle. So we carry that within ourselves. You see? And in our souls, we have the masculine and the feminine forces that must come together. Ha ha ha. Hence why your soul is not even masculine and feminine. It transcends those concepts that, earthly people, earthly things, earthly minds need to limit things through defining it, but you should not let anything define you. But a lot of people are quick to be defined by limited, finite versions that they want to associate with themselves or other people's version of them, and not even being the one to decide who they are. You know what I'm saying? Man, can go into all different this and that. But anyway, so keeping on topic, keeping on point. Amour is love. Amour is the light of the soul. Am being soul and ur mean light. Okay? The light of the soul is what is the source energy, which is called love. Okay? You see, and this is already what she is. And this is what you want to allow yourself to be more self-acceptant, to be more self-allowance, meaning self-allowing, to be in a receptive, to receive this flow of life in you, of your soul. This energy moves into your body and heals you. This uplifts you. This now you become full and you want to share that with another, rather than you're looking to be fed. Cause you're hungry. Oh man, I ain't got no food in my belly. You're looking in the refrigerator for something to eat, to get something. But when you're actually filled with the love, you're looking for who you can share it with. You know what I'm saying? It's a different kind of approach. You get it? You know what I'm saying? So your soul is already that which you're feeling if you open your heart up to it. Because a lot of folk ain't feeling their soul. They're feeling the concerns of the ego. They're feeling the thoughts and feelings generated by the egoic obsession, the thoughts, the obsession of the ego, with fear and worry and control and what other people think and what other people believe about them. When it's like, the ego's constantly looking outside of itself for validation, depending upon external sources for its validation. But the soul is beyond all of that. Now, The ego keeps your heart closed because, remember, the ego trying to protect you from any past unpleasant anything it projects and thinks, oh, hang on a minute, because the ego can be inaccurate, big time. It's just associating certain things with the past and goes, oh, doesn't know that, yeah, but everything changes. So yesterday is not the same as today. But the ego would only look at things from a very limited viewpoint. Oh, I remember this. Oh, I remember this feeling. Oh, last time that. Oh, yeah, let me shut down. You know what I'm saying? Protect yourself. All right? So you close the curtains in your sitting room and while it's sunny outside and complaining why it's so damn dark in your room, when you just need to draw your curtains. The curtains is symbolic of your heart opening up. And then the sun is representing you, your soul. And it's shining through the window of your mind. Yeah? Huh? And its presence is felt. You're feeling your soul. You see? That's the love. It's your connection. It's that higher vibrational frequency that you've drawn your being out from. And then there's even a state that transcends love, that goes higher than love, because joy vibrates at a higher frequency than love. But love is the foundation you need to be springboarding yourself from off into, the great infinity of yourself. You see what I mean? So yeah, this is how I decided to do this show, yo. And as I said, I was going to deal with Amour, the light of the soul, which I'm going to call this show. Now, it's so important because love is what nourishes you, yo. And as corny as love and the word can have been, can become or has become or the unpleasant things usually a lot of people associate it with, you know what I mean? Because they have not seek to understand what love truly is as themselves. They're trying to make love fit within this idea, this conditioning, they this point of view they don't want to let go of. And they just want to kind of, they just want something to fit within an idea they want to believe in. Now, I'm saying all of this, and I'm going to drop a little bit about this new moon in Gemini. Because this new moon in Gemini, it's bringing up this question. And the question is, what is your field of perception? And what do you perceive reality to be? Because your perception of reality is very linked to your field of perception. And if your field of perception is quite narrow, quite limited, then your perception of reality is going to be a reflection of that field of perception that you walk with. Now, the new moon was in Gemini. Opposite Gemini is Sagittarius. And Sagittarius got Jupiter retrograding in it anyways, for a few months now. And Sagittarius deals with your belief systems. And your belief system is where the structure in your consciousness comes from. Because your belief system then now structures your consciousness, your individual consciousness, which is represented by the builder, Capricorn. And then Jupiter and Saturn now is how you manifest through your beliefs to materialize on the physical plane based upon the inner structure of your consciousness, which is supported or constructed by your beliefs. So you got Jupiter retrograding, meaning you need to review your beliefs, people. All right? You need to review your beliefs. Because firstly, Gemini correlates to the need to communicate, what we have learned as a way of processing the information we have absorbed. And how you absorb this information into your intellect, okay? Now, the risk with this archetype is where you can take in too much information or data that then that you've connected to, and so you can take in so much information, all right, and you can see how this information connects in so many ways logically, right, in so much logical ways that you can mentally implode. It's just too much. Kapow! But this mental implosion becomes necessary for mental adjustment, okay? So that what can occur from that is where you can, it's like, okay, are you willing, to eliminate or let go, of certain outdated or rigid opinions within yourself that are creating blocks to further growth and evolution. This is what this new moon in Gemini bringing up. And it's bringing in a very positive energy, because Gemini is like the eternal youth. It's playful. It's air. It is exciting. It's light. It's breezy. It's it's volatile. It's always on the move. It's you see when the wind kind of starts to blow, it starts to play games with you. You know what I'm saying? It'll play games with you. You got to be careful what you're wearing on a breezy day. You know what I mean? The breeze will just blow. If it was a woman, blow up a woman's dress up. The breeze, the wind, it's having a laugh. It's having, man, it's all light. It's, that's that breezy Gemini thing. And you wearing a hat, blow your hat off, just for the fun of it. You know what I'm saying? And then next minute the breeze stops and you're thinking, it'll have a game with you. So it's that playful type of element, air, okay? But this air in Gemini is the communication. You communicate, airwaves. You hear the term airwaves, right? So communication also develops connection, okay? So this new moon in Mercury, new moon in Gemini, and before you had a new moon, you had Mercury move across it. You had Venus move across Taurus with that Uranus. You're dealing with transformation. This is what I'm basically saying. The transformation of old, outmoded, rigid opinions, data that no longer is applicable to you. You see what I'm saying? Old ass information that means diddly squat. Yeah? It's not assisting. It's more impeding your growth. Okay? So with the new moon in Gemini, it's about opening up to more of the diversity of opinions. Let's communicate and explore so you can expand on your beliefs if they are limiting beliefs you're dealing with. You see, which a lot of people are. So that you can see what's going on. So you're seeing Jupiter, which governs Sagittarius, in retrograde right now. So people are revising their belief systems, or you already have done. Because if you come in here with a retrograde Jupiter, like in your natal chart, then that means that you weren't looking outside to society to dictate to you what you should be holding as true or where you should look for the truth. If you got retrograde Jupiter in your chart as a natal, in your natal chart, that means you've come in here already looking into yourself for the ultimate truth. You're looking into yourself for the guru, because Jupiter also symbolizes the guru within you. But this society is always keeping you looking outside. You see what I'm saying? Now, the thing is with the outside becomes a mirror reflection of your inner state. And this is where love comes in now, because if you're in a good love, you draw to yourself magnetized love, because, intense stuff, intense, soul nourishing intimacy. If you're dealing with the soul level of, as I just said, Amour means light of the soul. You won't get that in your dictionaries. You won't get that translated to you and explained to you. Why would you? You wouldn't get that taught to you, because that's not in its best interest to teach you that. It needs to keep you in some limited earthly interpretation that is a counterfeit, of the original, you see. So you have to look within yourself to find the truth. That's why everything's about keeping you looking outside of yourself. Everything's orientated in that way. You're dependent upon, what society tells you to think and believe. Okay? So that way you're not gonna, you're through that, your freedom you won't achieve. You'll just stay in more bondage. So this new moon is like, bringing in new energy, because there's that vitality in the mind, that vitality in the Gemini, because you got Sagittarius, which is vitality. That's why it's Sagittarius. Sagittarius can be intense. It's got vision. Sagittarius can, broadcast. I mean, I got Sagittarius rising, so you know what I mean. I'm quite broad. Broad perspective. I'm intense. What I'm saying. Got vision. I can flow. It's fire. It's fire. Illumination, intuition, the will. Okay, of spirit. That's what fire represents. You know what I mean? They represent the wand in tarot cards. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the ear represents the swords in tarot cards. So you got the corresponding. You got the correspondence. You know what I'm saying? Of all these elements as well. Water represents the cups. Earth is the pentacles. You know what I'm saying? It's all there. You carry it all within you. You see? So with this new moon, it's bringing in this idea about you may be feeling a positive inflow, new way of, perceiving yourself, because it's about the information you've gathered, and then how. You see, because after Gemini comes the sign Cancer, and this is a water sign, and this is what your self-image and egocentric structure. This is where your self-image come from. Okay, but I won't go into that this evening, because I'll have to go into that a little bit more deeper. But the point is that after you've gathered the information, after you've gone and expressed yourself, because it's a masculine sign, Gemini, it's air, right? Then you go back to the center. Water, okay, feminine, in order to for you to form how you personally feel about the information that you've gathered, which then starts to build up an image you have of yourself. You see, so that starts to go into how your ego is structured, and how are you nurturing, how you being emotionally nurtured. I think I started off explaining stuff like this. I went into there, but so what it is now, the thing with this new moon in Gemini also, is that there could be an emphasis on facts rather than on the deeper metaphysical truths of those facts. So within this Gemini new moon, it's the opportunity to actually go deeper through communication, where you can explore and expand what it is that you're using as the framework, for the foundation of your beliefs, which determine how you're going to interpret life and yourself, and how you're going to relate to yourself. So what happens is that through communication, we can exchange ideas and exchange our different points of view, and actually grow and expand our minds through that process, rather than coming to it from a defensive, protective, offensive type of angle, where you're just trying to hold on or protect your pre-existing point of view, which can be a block. It's hindering you from further growth. You see what I'm saying? And definitely it's all about growth here. Uranus is in Taurus for the next 7 to 8 years. So there's going to be a transformation of values. Transformation of values. Okay? You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be seeing the same things in the same way anymore. So there's definite change. And that transformation enables growth to take place. So if you hold on to limited, outmoded opinions, points of views, just holding on to facts, rather than looking into the deeper metaphysical truths that those facts are only reflections of, then, if you're doing, then you'll just stay limited. But everything that's taking place now is supporting this growth, supporting this transformation, supporting this growth. So you either move in harmony with it or you resist and fight against yourself. You see what I'm saying? And that would be you listening to your ego. You got to be brave and have courage to listen to your heart, to your soul. Hence why even courage is related to your heart. But courage comes from the word kore, which means core, center, source. You see? So many of us get caught up in our heads, which just keep you caught up in the facts and intellectual processing. Whereas the heart takes you into intelligent feel. It takes you into the intuition, which transcends the intellect. Okay? But what it does is unify your left and heart and right side of your brain. Because you got to think in a holistic way. You got to use everything holistically. Yeah? You got to use your right and your left hand. You got to use your right and your left side of your brain. You know what I'm saying? You got to work with all of yourself, not just part of yourself, as like you're some separate cut-off, switch-offs type of thing. So yes. Let me see if I mentioned everything I felt I wanted to touch on here with this new moon in Gemini, which is positive energy. And Gemini is also the eternal youth. Now, yes, there's higher and lower octaves of everything. But I'm talking from the higher, definitely it's the higher octave, higher expression that's coming in here now. Because we've had enough of the lower stuff. So you're dealing with air, and it's light, okay? You know what I mean? It's not as dense as Earth, you see? So this is, you can say love is in the air, you know what I mean? But it's, as I said, this is your soul. If you come with this ego love, you may just find the repetition of stuff that has gone on and occurred before. So that's getting very boring and played out. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I think I'll play one more tune before I wrap it up tonight, this evening. Because 2 hours go so quick. And sometimes I'm thinking, did I say everything I wanted to say? But this is called Amour, the light of the soul, because I'm talking about love, because love is a big thing. Whether people are into it or not, whether you want to be the Mr. Macho, whatever, love is a fire, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And when you're dealing with love, you got also the dual aspects and expression of it. You're always going to have the masculine and feminine, but not based on the ego personality of the man and the woman, because that just limits your ass. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the giving, the outputting energy. That's masculine. The activity, go, up and about, moving and up, down. That's the masculine aspect. And then a magnetic that pulls to you, draws to you, or pushes away, repels from you. That's the feminine. That's a magnetic energy. And they work together. Electromagnetic. You see? So you got these twin forces within your soul. And then individual, which means indivisible, which is inseparable, can't be divided, indivisible. That's where you get the word individual from. Individual. Jewel is two. Indivi is short for indivisible. So it's even telling you that you're an inseparable duality, meaning you're a whole being. You're not split. You're not, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You're not, people says, oh, guys, I'm only half a being. I need to find my other half. Those type of things. You're incomplete. These whole ideas, nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? These are human ego, kakiden nonsense, and it will keep you in the mud if you hold on to such concepts of yourself. And a lot of this is Western European shit. Okay? Seriously. Okay? It's Western European. Let's just be real with this, all right? Western European has projected a certain mindset onto the world. Okay? And through it, And through this mindset, people have not been better off for it. There's been more division, more separation, people feeling less connected, more disconnected. Can't deal with diversity because there's so much ass flipping prejudice and judgment, and you know what I mean, even within the same community. There's all of that stuff going on. So how are you going to find yourself within all of this separation? When you actually, as an individual, as the word is indicating, you are an inseparable duality. You see? You can't separate. You can't separate the two sides of a coin. The two extremes are the same thing, yeah. You see. So this new moon is saying you can expand your mind. Align it with that which is off. That reflects natural law, not man-made societal cultural conditioning, which just it will keep you stuck. You won't be able to grow if you hold on to those limited perspectives or perceptions, okay? So the question is, as I said, what is your field of perception? And, to ask yourself, and which will make you question your beliefs, And what do you perceive reality to be? Obviously, a lot of people have a different view of reality. But whatever your view is, that's what you're going to experience as yours. You see how it is? The more you are ignorant that you are the creator, then, you're just, So anyway, you're going to have to change those pants sooner or later. So let me see. I got some notes here. Yeah, so there's a mental adjustment. There's a brand new, positive energy coming in. And to work with this positive energy in order to liberate your limited belief systems into that which transcends it. Because you got Neptune in Pisces. So this new moon we just had a few days ago on the 3rd was making a square to Neptune. So it's basically telling you Neptune is the impulse in our consciousness to transcend all limitations. It's saying, let go of these labels, let go of these definitions, let go of these terminologies that you use to pin things down to say that you know it. In order to know yourself, you're going to have to transcend all of that and become one with Source, which realize now we go back to Amour. Amour is the light of your soul. When we talk about the love of the light of your soul, we're talking about the love that dissolves all that is limiting. Yeah? Structure. You see, because when you're dealing with the love, the boundless energy of the love force energy of yourself, you're dealing with flow. You're not dealing with something that's got edges. It's not linear, straight lined. It's not compartmentalized and organized and put in files so you can, take it out. Take whatever you're looking for. Oh yes, let's go into my mental file here, and and then reveal that and say yes because I've organized it and arranged it in such a orderly way. I know this, I know that because I can draw it out from my file. I got the name for it. Look! I got the name for it. I given it a name. This is what it is. This defines it. That's all limitations. Because who you are, truth transcends, basically what I should say is that you got language barriers because it's not always easy to convey that which comes directly from Source within you with the limitations that words bring with it and language. So you have to get very, very creative in your communication to convey that truth which transcends the intellect and the rational mind, which is limited. It depends upon, certain associations to meanings it assigns to certain things, words, in order to say yeah. But, to say comprehend stuff. But this is about the soul, y'all. It's about really coming through, opening up. You feel the light, that you're feeling your soul. You want to stay in that frequency that keeps your heart open. Love is a fire, so we can't get heady. but you're dealing with that which is strong and soft. Strong and soft. So you got the masculine and feminine. You see what I mean? You got the strength and the beauty. You see? Look at the ocean. It's powerful and soft. It flows. It's fluid. You can't try and control this like the ego would want to. You got to actually become the flow. Yeah? That's the new way. That's the way. That's what you're opening up to now. Soul, the soul, not the ego. Yeah? To be more soul-centered rather than ego-centered. So, yeah. I'm thinking of seeing if I can find our next tune for y'all. Because, uh-huh. Yeah, I think I will play you one more dubstep thing. And then I will have to call it a night, yo, because time's moving on as it usually does. Okay, so let's see what this groove is. Tune into this. Okay. You're my shining star. That's what that rhythm is. Instrumental version of. You're my shining star, my guiding star. So that's quite a, the inner guiding star, yo. As you should know by now that you are that star. Soul, sun, solar, yes. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. And be back with you next Tuesday on the Cosmic Root Show. But just, rounding everything up as I usually do. So I was talking, about Amour. We're talking about love and how Amour is actually breaks down to mean the light of the soul, and that the light of the soul is the love, is the eternal, is the real. when we're dealing with the authenticity of what it is that we've been continually in society looking outside of ourselves for. So yes, and we can go deeper into this ocean, this cosmic ocean, because it's infinite. Yes, meaning limitless. And that's what you are. You're an infinite, multidimensional, eternal being. But when you only see yourself through the lens of the five senses and the physical corporeal conditioning construct, then you're like somebody identifying with your clothes and taking that to be all that you are. And you're more than that. So yeah. So Amour, my people. Yes, love is the light of the soul. And basically, you're dealing with the absolute, unconditional, creative, positive energy. Okay, source energy. That which connects everything to everything. Okay. So, yeah. On that note, I'm going to bid you all a pleasant shadow hour, and yes, I'll be with you again next Tuesday. For another Cosmic Roots show. So, till then, as I said, always expect and accept the best.